In case everybody doesn't know, this is our borough president, Marty Markowitz. Marty is shy and retiring. He is going to be unemployed in 264 days, and so am I. And I asked yesterday about the pension system. After 10 years, you qualify for a pension, it turns out. But I haven't contributed anything. So we calculated I would get 15 cents a year, but it would cost me 25 cents to qualify. So anyways, good morning. This is a wonderful day, and it's wonderful to be here. It's one of these things that we're going to leave for the future, and Marty deserves a lot of the credit for it. There are a lot of good things that have happened in Brooklyn, and our administration and Marty Markowitz and his group together deserves some of the credit. There's also lots of other people. I was at the Navy Yard yesterday. What we've done there in creating jobs and the facilities for the future, it's just really mind-boggling, and I don't think any other city could ever do what we've done. Anyways, let's talk about this one. If you remember, a little over 2 years ago, our administration launched the Applied Sciences Competition. The only thing bad about it is it was not my idea. It was Bob Steele's and Seth Pinsky's, and they deserve enormous credit for it. Our goal was to dramatically expand STEM education in our city and position New York to lead the 21st century knowledge economy. NYU's Center for Urban Science and Progress, or CUSP as we call it, is one of the three groundbreaking new institutions that have come out of the winners of that competition. A major focus of the research here will be what's called urban informatics, exploring the vast amounts of data that new technologies are creating in the world's cities. And that explosion of data gives us a huge opportunity to find clues for how to make our cities better, cleaner, and safer places to live. CUS research will center on New York City, so I plan to live here for the rest of my life, and I'll be a great beneficiary of it. It will partner with city agencies to collect data and improve the quality of life here. But the work done at CUSP will be important not just for New York City's future, but for our planet's. And that's because for the first time in history, more than half of the world's population live in the cities of this world. And by 2050, three-quarters of the world's populations will likely be city dwellers. And that presents enormous challenges, and meeting them will require big ideas. And we want those ideas to take flight out of New York City, and that's exactly what CUSP is going to help make possible. Today, we are officially cutting the ribbon on CUSP's temporary home here at One Metro Tech. The first classes will begin here in the fall. Over the next couple of years, CUSP will build out its permanent facilities at 370 J Street, which CUSP is transforming from an underutilized office space into a world-class research hub. CUSP's permanent home at 370 J Street is on track to open in 2017, and when it's grown to full size, it will be home to more than 500 graduate students, and downtown Brooklyn will be home to one of the most exciting new research institutions anywhere on Earth. Our administration is extremely excited about CUSP and the groundbreaking work that's going to get done here, and we're not the only ones. The private sector, I'm happy to say, has recognized from the beginning CUSP's tremendous potential to foster innovation, and that's why companies like IBM, Xerox, Siemens, and Cisco jumped at the chance to be a part of the team that created CUSP. And today we're happy to announce CUSP's new partnerships with two more leading companies, Microsoft Research and Lutron Electronics, a lighting technology company focused on reducing energy consumption. Both companies will lend resources and expertise to CUSP work in data analysis, technology integration, energy management, and other critical areas in urban science. They will help design curriculum here, and students will have the chance to work shoulder to shoulder with employees of both companies through internships and on project proposals. Our partners in the federal government are excited about CUSP as well. Last week, CUSP announced partnerships with 4 Department of Energy laboratories, namely the national laboratories at Brookhaven, Lawrence Livermore, Los Alamos, and Sandia. These labs will bring unparalleled resources to CUSP research efforts. The 4 labs are home to some of the world's most powerful computers and the scientists who are leaders in their fields. And thanks to these partnerships, CUSP will have access to their facilities and CUSP students will have a chance to participate in fellowships, internships, and other opportunities at the 4 labs. These partnerships are going to help CUSP tackle the biggest challenges facing 21st century cities, especially our city. But CUSP will bring much more than that to the table here in New York. NYU CUSP will spin off hundreds of new companies, create thousands of jobs, and generate billions of dollars in economic activity for the city. It will drive innovation and lend even more momentum to our booming tech sector, which is creating good-paying jobs for New Yorkers every single day. Our city is home to more tech startups than ever, and that's one of the reasons why, under our administration, New York City hit a record high in the number of private sector jobs, and it's why in 2013 we're continuing to outpace the nation as a whole in private sector job creation. Our city is doing everything we can to accelerate that growth, and CUSP is going to help us do exactly that. CUSP will also bring more new life and new excitement to rapidly transforming downtown Brooklyn and provide an anchor for the tech triangle that's blossoming here. And I'm happy to say, be more customers for Con Ed, the guy who I buy energy from in my home. I have to be nice to. I will raise my rates. There are already about 500 tech companies in the area, and this cutting-edge, community-focused research facility seriously makes downtown Brooklyn an even more attractive place to start and to grow a tech business. Now, all of these goals we had in mind when we launched the Applied Science Competition, and today is another great step forward. So let me start by inviting Steve Koonin, the director of NYU CUSP, to speak. Steve?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, President Sexton, President Markowitz, and Executive Director Kimball, for joining us today as we dedicate our new Brooklyn office space and mark CUSP's impending 1-year anniversary. That'll happen in about a week and a half. Thanks to everyone who's come from near and far to be with us, and in particularly, I want to thank the representatives from the many city, state, and federal officials who are here today. CUSP is a unique, mission-driven organization. Our tagline is to fully instrument New York City and exploit the data so derived. When properly acquired, integrated, and analyzed, such data about a city's infrastructure, about its environment, and about its people can serve many purposes. It can make government more efficient and better engaged with its citizens. It can stimulate commercial activity by large and small firms, and it can transform the social sciences. CUSP's activities include research and education, and during the past year we've made good progress on both fronts. We are today 1 month into a series of some 17 research planning workshops. In fact, one is going on even as we speak, and 15 agency meetings that are serving to cohere the CUSP community, better define research projects and CUSP infrastructure, and prepare material for proposals from funders. And in fact, 2 proposals to federal agencies have already been submitted. Our research goals are to take existing data streams and to generate new ones and use them in projects that aren't merely relevant to the city, but impactful. To do that, we need an unprecedented cooperation between the physical sciences and engineering, the data sciences, and the social sciences, which many of us believe will be a hallmark of 21st century research and education. If we're successful, we will be developing new technologies and expertise here in New York City that can then be exported to cities around the world. We hope to be announcing soon some specific projects in partnership with the city in the next few weeks. In education, our Deputy Director, Constantine Contacosta, and his education team have defined and secured certification for new master's degree and certificate programs in applied urban sciences and informatics. And we've been recruiting for those programs since December, receiving over 100 applications in various stages of completion, and we're now in the admissions phase. Mr. Mayor, we'd like to afford you and others from the city the opportunity to welcome that class when they start here in August. You can find out much more about CUSP's activities from the PowerPoint presentations that are running on the monitors around the office and from the written material that you will have received at registration. Given the ambition and importance of CUSP's goals, its partners must span academia, the private sector, and government. And so we're grateful for the very strong support that we've received from the mayor, from Deputy Mayor Bob Steele, and their entire teams, including Mike Flowers and Eugene Lee. The partnerships forged with the city and its agencies will afford CUSP the ability to better understand city problems, access the relevant data, and then devise and demonstrate novel solutions with the goal of improving the quality of life for New York City residents. I'm also very pleased to see here today representatives from many of our academic and industrial partners. And I particularly want to highlight the participation of 4 of the national laboratories that we announced on Monday: Brookhaven National Lab, Los Alamos, Lawrence Livermore National Lab, and Sandia National Laboratories. And these organizations bring an amazing set of capabilities to bear on the CUSP mission and will also afford wonderful internship opportunities for CUSP students. And today, as was mentioned, we are announcing that our list of remarkable partners continues to grow as we've formally added Microsoft Research and Lutron Electronics to the CUSP family. Relevant to CUSP's mission, Microsoft is committed to advancing scientific discovery and research in the emerging field of urban informatics. As part of the partnership, Microsoft will provide Windows Azure computing services and researchers from Microsoft Research, which is the company's global research organization of more than 850 researchers who collaborate in a very academic, open way with leading universities, government, and industry researchers to advance the state of the art of computing. And so, Jennifer and Christian, thank you for coming into the family. It'd be a wonderful partnership. It already is. Lutron Electronics has provided energy-saving lighting controls and innovations for home and offices since 1961 and currently offers more than 17,000 products globally. Lutron will work with CUSP to focus on the creation of predictive models and analytics for building lighting and energy management, both of which are critical components to the operation of a city. In another aspect of their participation in CUSP, Lutron has donated its quantum total light management system for installation here in our office, and you see the lights and the shades and the controls all through our suite. And that's a very important reason, I think, why this space feels so cheery and inviting. Joel and Russ, thank you, and you told me that it would make a big difference, the lighting, and it really does. And that leads me to say a word about the office space that we're in. 6 months ago, it didn't look anything like this. But a powerful team from NYU, Marlon Aranda and Steve Baraka among them, architect Nick Barato, who's here somewhere in the audience, general contractor Alexander Wolfenson, and CUSP Chief of Staff Mike Holland transformed it into a place that feels both comfortable and professional and significantly under budget at that. Dave, you heard that, right? Okay, good. This office will serve as our home while renovations are underway just across the street in the building that you can see out the window, 370 J Street, the former MTA headquarters. Once it's complete, in about 4.5 years, that will be our permanent home. Before I close, let me note that the practicalities of an event like this don't happen by themselves. The entire CUSP staff, organized by Kim Alfred, have done a great job in making things go smoothly so far, and I expect they'll continue to go smoothly. As a Brooklyn native, I grew up about 3.5 miles south of here. I'm thrilled that we're bringing this exciting project to one of the most amazing neighborhoods in the world. There's so much more to say about CUSP, our aspirations, and what we're doing, but we're on a tight schedule, and so let me invite you all to come back in smaller groups on a somewhat less busy day for a deeper visit. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now the president of a university, I will say I owe him a great debt of gratitude. He actually gave my daughter a degree. I had to say thank you. Whether George called you or not, I don't know, but I wanted to say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We're proud to have had your daughter, and I should say your mother. Unfortunately, it skipped a generation. As graduates,
I never would have gotten in.
The mayor says sometimes that he wouldn't have gotten in. I always respond that when I applied to NYU Law School, they did reject my application, so I actually didn't get in. But I'm here to say to you in so many ways and so many meanings of the words, Mr. Mayor, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for being the mayor that you've been. Thank you for being the NYU parent and son you've been, and thank you for the inspiration for what we celebrate today. It was February 2005 that the mayor and Dan Doctorow asked me to participate in a two-day retreat for some of the mayor's commissioners. It was an interesting event to observe because the mayor had asked his commissioners to think about what would make New York City the world's capital 50 years hence. And of course, this was February before an election the following November in which he would have to run. That is typical of what has characterized this mayor's approach to the city. We more and more in our society think only in terms of the next quarter or the short term. And we don't think in terms of 50 years hence or 25 years hence or 10 years hence. We do the intergenerational transfer of burdens rather than planting trees under which others will sit. And it's been a hallmark of this mayor that he does plant many trees under which others will sit. And this is one of those many trees. I'm not going to say very much. I want to be very, very simple. Our university was created nearly 200 years ago to, in the words of our city, in the words of our founder, to be in and of the city, now in and of the world. We were among the first universities that saw as a mission to be connected to the city in which it sat and to be a vibrant part of that. That's deep in our tradition. And CUSP flows from that commitment. I teach a course in the second semester at NYU called Baseball as a Road to God, and the reading for next week is Pete Hamill's book, Snow in August. And Pete comes to class. He's an NYU colleague, and he comes to class each year with me to teach the novel. And I said to the students last week, in trying to describe to them the great man they were going to meet this coming week, I said to them, you're going to meet a synecdoche for New York. Synecdoche, a great word. It's a word that says you look at this and you see the bigger picture. Frequently, a synecdoche is a person. And Pete Hamill, I said to the students, is a synecdoche for New York. If you think of names like Pete Hamill, Jimmy Breslin, those are synecdoches. I just want to close by offering three synecdoches for CUSP and its mission. Three people that will be intimately involved in and around it. Of course, you've met the magnificent Steve Koonin, this man who was provost at Caltech, undersecretary of energy, and who embodies in his work, in his life, in his attitude, what CUSP is about. There are two others. Yesterday, across the street, we announced the new president of Polytechnic, our engineering school, and our dean of engineering for NYU, an extraordinary man, Kadapalli Srinivasan, who is a synecdoche for what this will do. And I see here in the room as well the extraordinarily successful dean of our law school, Ricky Revesz, who succeeded me and made our law school far better than I had left it for him. And lo and behold, he will be moving over to be the director of the Marin Institute on Cities, a twin organization with CUSP that will bring the social science and the professions and the humanities and the fullness of NYU to this effort to make NYU and Brooklyn and Manhattan as part of the world's capital city, the capital of the study of cities in a century that will be the century of cities. Three synecdoches that show that we are putting the best of our university forward in this effort. We did that because a great mayor said to us, here's a challenge, meet it, and we will. Thank you very much.
How does one spell synecdoches?
Let's see how good your Hopkins
Not
education
a chance.
is.
If I saw the word K-A-T, I would know there's a letter wrong, but I wouldn't be sure which letter.
So
spelling is not my forte.
What's the second letter in synecdoche? That's the key.
I don't even know what the first one is. Probably an S.
No, the first letter is S. S-Y-N. Edoche.
For those, Seifman, you can write that down. You wouldn't have been able to spell it either. I did it for the Post. If it doesn't fit in a headline, they don't use the words either. It's a different newspaper that uses long words to say nothing. Kyle Kimball is the executive director of EDC. EDC, run by Seth Pinsky under the direction of our deputy mayor, Bob Steele, really are responsible for just an enormous number of projects that we have completed, are in process, or we've got going or will get going before the end of this year. And those are the things that are really going to carry our city for the next 50 years or more. Kyle?
That's a hard act to follow. My name's Kyle Kimball. I'm the executive director, and I work with Seth Pinsky and Bob Steele under their leadership. And the mayor really asked us a few years ago to make sure that the city is a 21st century capital of innovation. And so the applied science is certainly the centerpiece of that effort. And we are very excited with this partnership with NYU and CUSP and the consortium, and it really holds great promise, as the speakers before me have said, not just because it will spur thousands of companies, but thousands of jobs and tens of billions of dollars of economic development over the next number of years. So we love the idea that it's solving some of the greatest challenges facing our cities, and an objective really that has become even more important as we recover from Hurricane Sandy, which we were also very much focused on at EDC. Obviously thrilled about the private partnerships that are being leveraged by Microsoft and Lutron. We love the idea that we provide a little bit of capital and it returns a tremendous economic return to the city over generations to come. And I want to thank the mayor for his leadership, Deputy Mayor Steele, Eugene for his day-to-day work on this, Kathy Wild for her partnership with us and support on our board, the President Sexton, of course, and Steve Coonan, who will run this organization, the borough president, Jennifer Shays, who I've had the pleasure to know over the last couple of weeks, and, of course, Russ McAdam and Joel Spina from Lutron. We really look forward to these great innovations that will come out of CUSP, and I look forward personally to living in a city that is impacted by the work that is done here. Thank you.
Kyle, thank you. I should point out that Steve Levin is in the back, one of our city council members. He has, it's not his only distinction, but the one that matters to me is I went to college with his father. It just shows our age difference a little bit. I want to congratulate Dr. Kadapalli Srinivasan. How did I do there? That's okay. Good enough. Yeah, thank you. Srini? Just Srini? No. You have to show that you can handle the whole thing. It's sort of like Bloomberg, you know. Bloomy doesn't work all the time, although. He is the new president, as John said, of NYU Polytechnic and really a key partner at CUSP. He was appointed president yesterday after serving as acting president of NYU Poly for the last half year, so he obviously passed that test. Brooklyn Borough President Marty Markowitz has been one of this project's most vocal supporters, and Marty is going to say, and I have underlined few words about what CUSP brings to Brooklyn.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mayor. First, Srini, Mr. President, now that you're here, there's one thing Brooklyn is in desperate need of, a good, quality, authentic Indian restaurant. So please, I need your help on that. Now, Mayor, I have to tell you something. Residents of New York are coming up to me and saying, Marty, what are you going to do in 8 months? And I say, I'm not sure yet. Then they ask me, the same people, they ask me, what do you think the mayor's going to do? My response is, he'll make a living, I have to tell you. It's so good to see two fellas here whose companies take a good piece of my take-home pay. And so April is a transition month, Mayor. We say before April, we say hello, National Grid. And in April, we begin to say hello, Con Edison. So let me say Kevin Burke and Ken Daly, good to see you. Here it is. Okay, anyway, great to see you here. I certainly want to welcome always Brooklynite John Sexton. He may sleep in Manhattan, but he's as Brooklyn as they come. That is for sure. This is important, and for all of us, this is just tremendous. And, there's no question that our mayor has been the most innovative of all, and I think that in the future, when students of government and the history of New York City look back, they'll realize that these 12 years have been unbelievable progress with this entire city. Brooklyn is just flourishing, as you know, in so many ways. Lynn Brown would agree, and she's here, that truly NYU begins in Brooklyn. And she knows that, and this proves it. This absolutely proves it. Mayor, I'm sure you know that Brooklyn has over 60,000 college students. 60,000. That's much higher than Cambridge, Massachusetts. So besides all the other terminology and definitions of Brooklyn, now we can call Brooklyn clearly a college town, USA. Brooklyn College. I like that. I like that very, very much. Steve Coonan, I congratulate you. You're coming home, and you are home, and that's great, and that's important for the future of our borough. Microsoft and Lutron Electronics, it's really with cusp, a trifecta for the borough. I congratulate all of you, and all I can say is we'll keep it going. By the way, Mayor, in 8 months from now, you and I finally, after these 12 years, will share the same title. We share the same birthday. Now we're going to share the same title, Emeritus. Thank you.
I thought you were going to say unemployed. Before we take some questions, just let me summarize today's announcement for our Spanish-speaking New Yorkers. Estamos abriendo un nuevo hogar temporal de NYU CUSP, una de las ganadoras de nuestros concursos de ciencias aplicadas. Las clases empezarán en el otoño. Los investigadores de CUSP van a estudiar datos urbanos para mejorar la calidad de vida en nuestra ciudad y creará nuevos trabajos en esta industria ciente. With that, we'll be happy to take some questions on topic.